Matt, really interesting fight at middleweight because we have two champs from the regional scene. And I know Brendan Allen, a guy that's had two fights in the UFC and has looked very good. Big win over Kevin Holland. Big win over Tom Breeze in a fight that we predicted wrong. I mean, let's just put it where it is. But the fact that Tom Breeze, a primary striker, he was coming off a long layoff, and Brendan Allen floored him. Now he's taking on Kyle Daukaus. And Matt, for what it's worth, Kyle Daukaus on the regional scene, and I know he had a big win on Contender Series. It was just by decision. This is a submission artist at the highest of levels at 185. He's been able to get it done in a lot of different ways, but mainly by one way, and we'll get into that one. Taking on a guy in Brendan Allen that is a really tricky out on the mat. This is an exciting fight that might fly under the radar. I know originally Brendan Allen was supposed to be taking on Ian Heinisch. Allen out, in steps the teammate Gerald Mearshart. Gets finished. Allen wanted Heinisch. That seemed to be wheels in motion. No Heinisch in this fight due to injury, so we get Kyle Daukaus, and it's a great one. I think Kyle Daukaus really does deserve this shot in the UFC. I mean, I brought it up. The Contender Series wins. Sometimes what they'll do, they'll bring the guy back in on Contender Series, and even if he gets a decision win, maybe just sign him to that contract. Daukaus gets a big step up here. He has taken on an absolute force in Brendan Allen. If Kyle Daukaus is going to win, is there like a blueprint to beat Brendan Allen? Because it's pretty darn tough.
Not really. Brendan Allen was going from fighting a ranked opponent in Ian Heinisch, who is in the top 15, I believe he's ranked 13th last time I checked, to fighting a guy who's making his UFC debut. Now, yes, Daukaus fought on the Contender Series, and again, I was going to say Octagon shooters are going to be a big deal. They're not, though, because you're fighting at the exact same venue that you would have had your Contender Series fight at. But Brendan Allen beat Ian Heinisch outside of the UFC, has two huge wins in the UFC. We haven't seen that many holes in his skill set just yet. We've seen he can get clipped, he can get hurt, but for the most part, he's really good at recovering. He's a great wrestler, really good striker. We saw that in Tom Breeze fight. Tom Breeze, a guy who I was fairly high on, but we saw that Brendan Allen's striking was just far better. And Brendan Allen reminds me right now of kind of where Edmund Shabazian was a couple of years ago, because Edmund Shabazian, you kept on hearing all this hype. He had one bad performance against Darren Stewart, and I held it against him for a long time. I'm not going to lie. I did not jump on that train for a while, because I thought Darren Stewart beat him, and then everyone kept on hyping him up. And I'm like, he might have a W on his record, but how you get that win also matters. Brendan Allen...
It was like that in the Kevin Holland fight.
Exactly.
He got cracked. If that fight finished the first round, it looked like, hey, Holland's going to win by doctor stoppage. There's a bad cut on Allen. He just grinds it out, gets a nice win. And how many people submit Kevin Holland? The last time I checked, it's pretty darn difficult.
Exactly. If Thiago Santos can't finish you on the ground, it's pretty impressive that Brendan Allen can. Now, yes, very different methods, but still. Allen, I don't see a way that he loses this fight. Better striker, better grappler for the most part, way better wrestler too. So Daukaus, for him to even get to the thing that he's amazing at, he's going to have to get the fight to the ground. And I don't think he's a good enough striker to drop Brendan Allen and then get the fight to the ground that way. And I don't think he's a good enough wrestler to do it either. Also, Brendan Allen's quite a bit bigger than Kyle Daukaus, something that people aren't really talking about. Just physically, he's going to be really hard to get taken to the ground. And again, you go from fighting a guy who's ranked, and if you beat him, you're probably getting a number next to your name, against a guy who, I agree with you, deserves to be in the UFC. I just think it's too much too soon for Kyle Daukaus.
It's a great opportunity for Daukaus. If you look over at the odds, Brendan Allen minus 280 favorite, Daukaus coming in the plus 225 underdog. If you look over on Tapology, not much of a surprise, but it was 688 votes, 90% going with Allen, 51% predicting a submission. I wouldn't go that far. Kyle Daukaus is a very difficult guy to try and submit. He is slippery on the ground. And you look at the wins, plenty of them by Darce. So you know that he's going to be able to roll out of some of those compromising positions. Brendan Allen, I wouldn't be surprised if the namesake gets the win by decision. Are you going with our cousin who's not actually our cousin?
I'm going to go with our cousin from another, I don't even
country.
know. Yeah, exactly. I think Brendan Allen's got this one in the bag. Then hopefully we do kind of see that Ian Heinisch, I guess, rematch somehow get scheduled in the future, because that is a great fight.
Should be a good one. Really looking forward to this fight. Both going with Brendan Allen to get the win. You're not going to want to miss the rest of our predictions for the card. An extended look at Dustin Poirier and Dan Hooker. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt. And as we always say, let's get into it.